We're at the early stages. So last year we had a 270-day period called the eligibility period, where we had to submit a lot of deliverables to MSBA, everything from enrollment forecast to how we're currently using space, how we're currently maintaining our buildings, that type of thing. We successfully met the requirements of the eligibility period. We then got approved last spring into something called the feasibility study and schematic design phase, which is a really big step. That required a commitment of funding from the town of North Attleboro. We authorized up to $2 million to fund the feasibility study and schematic design phase. That phase is roughly 18 months to 2 years. The very first thing we do in that phase is go out and select an owner's project manager, an OPM. There's a really lengthy process to select an OPM. Just yesterday, we went before the MSBA. It wasn't the board, it was something called the OPM review panel, with our recommendation for the OPM that we wanted to hire after our selection process, a company called Vertex. This morning, about 2 hours before this is being filmed, we were notified that the MSBA has approved our selection of our OPM, Vertex, and they'll be our partner from today until this building is ultimately constructed. And that's a really important step in the process. They're the experts in planning and coordination and construction. And so we're really excited about bringing Vertex on board. They have a tremendous reputation and an incredible track record of bringing projects in the Commonwealth to completion. They're an amazing firm. The next important step, and this will happen between now and this is today, September 12th, up through probably late January 2024, the next step is to go out and hire an architect. There's a really lengthy process and really a prescribed process that we have to follow by MSBA to make that happen. So by January, we'll have an architect in place. And that's when the real work begins. Once the architect's on board, they'll start assessing our current state of our facility. They'll look at options. Do we have to build new? What would a renovation look like? What would an addition look like? And very importantly, well, I want to back up and say, and in those 18 months, let's say they're going to do this work, we will work extensively with the community in a very transparent way to get people's opinions, have people weigh in on what they would like to see for our building, what type of educational vision they have, for the next, say, 50 years. And at the end of that process, we're going to have an option that in theory is best for North Attleboro and a budget to go along with it. So we're still a good year and a half away from having all those options vetted, having the community weigh in, having that budget estimate finalized. And then at that point, we'll go to the community and ask them if they want to fund it. So to answer your original question, we're still very early in the process. I say this all the time, but if anybody thinks that they have the answer to our building, whether it's new or renovation, we don't know. And we're not going to know until we finish this process. And again, that's going to be a very transparent, very intensive process with a lot of community input. And so sort of stay tuned. But it's early. At the same time, the next 18 months is going to go by really fast. And we have a lot of work to do.